Well, we had our first good snow today, and I think I'll take a hike down to the Beaver Dam, do a little painting of it. It's just about freezing, so my paints shouldn't freeze. What you doing there, Smooth? So the scene is really almost black and white, with the snow on all the sticks. Very little color to it, especially in this overcast light. But I'm going to try to limit the color range and focus just on the complex pattern of values that I see in front of me. What I like about the scene is that line on the far shore, the zigzag of the dam, the areas that are fairly empty on the left, and then the busy detail area on the lower right. Now let me show you the final painting so you can see where I'm heading. I'll be using gouache and watercolor, titanium white gouache, cobalt blue, terra rosa, magenta, cadmium red, cadmium yellow light, and raw umber. Those earth colors in the blue, the cobalt blue and terra rosa and raw umber, are the main ones I'll be using. The other ones will be for the leaves. Now I start with that horizontal line on the far shore. You notice there's a grid marking on the paper. That's just left over from something else. I'm not really using any kind of grid system. The zigzag comes down. That's the main line of the composition. And then I mix up some color, some of that warm color, to get those leaves that are just under the surface of the ice. The ice is barely frozen, but enough to affect the surface character of the water. So I'm painting an area of this kind of like yellow ochre or raw sienna color, and maybe a little red in there, to simulate the color of the leaves as they're about to come up to the surface. Around those leaves, it'll be a darker gray, where we're looking down into the still water of the beaver pond. These two areas of color should blend wet into wet. Keeping it transparent without white. Now you may notice I've laid a very light gray tone over most of the picture. That's so that when I come back with the pure white for the snow, it'll be lighter than that light gray. Now I also want to put in some textures in the snow before I paint the darks in between the snow areas. So these are the areas that turn away from the sky and are getting a little bit less light. I haven't really painted the extreme darks yet. I'm saving up for that to come soon. But first I want to paint the bright whites of the snow facing up toward the sky. This is the snow that's sitting on top of the beaver pond itself. Now these are the areas where the snow has laid on the surface of the water but hasn't melted in. And there are slightly rougher and smoother areas of that dark ice where it melted or froze yesterday and today. Now I've put on the gloves because it is getting cold out. Because the textures are so infinitely complex, what I'm going to try to do is figure out the general nature of the textures, the twigs, the leaves, the crumpled snow, and then figure out how I can summarize those in paint, and then kind of recreate the same textures in a miniature scale, because I can't hope to capture all the detail that's in front of me. Using a round brush, loaded with paint but fairly dry, I can put this dark color in. This color is to simulate the dark areas between the snow patches, and also I'm using that dark color for the trunks of trees. I'm not using any black, I'm just using the red-brown mixed with blue to make a dark tone. There's one of the thinner trees that's growing out of that circular pizza shape of snow sitting on the ice. These trees, of course, will die, allowing the sunlight into the pond. The neighbors say they now have lakefront property. Beavers are usually pretty good for an environment, though. They're good for frogs, turtles, herons, and a lot of the fish. My painting companion is Smooth, the rescue husky mix. We think he's half husky and half Labrador retriever. He must have gotten the half of the Labrador that runs after the stick, but not the half that brings it back. Most of the time he spends looking around for other living things in the forest. But in all this time, we've never seen a beaver. There's a bigger pond downstream from this one, but this beaver dam is new. They picked the perfect spot to put it, enough to hold back about a half an acre of water. Even if you disturb it, beaver dam, the beavers are right there that night to fix it. They tune into the sound of flowing water, and they'll do whatever they have to do to jam in sticks to fix that leak. Smooth sees a bird. Bluebird. Whichever direction you look, the trees become a medium gray with a soft edge at the bottom where they meet the snow. That's true in the distance beyond the beaver pond. So I'm going to mix kind of a medium gray, and then using this filbert brush, fairly dry, I can kind of dry brush a texture for that far range of trees without having to paint them all individually. And if I paint over those trees that I've already established there, those dark vertical trees, I can just come right back in and reinforce them later. Now there's the beaver lodge in the distance. Beavers are probably in there all snug and warm. Now here's that edge between the old ice and the newer ice, and just a thin ridge of snow between the two. I can indicate that with a small round brush with white on the very tip of it. And what I'm interested at this stage of the picture is getting it down to the very delicate, very subtle and small details. Having established the big forms, the big shapes, now I want to go in for the really delicate ones. So to wrap up, I think the key to painting is when you look at your painting, convince yourself that you're looking at nature. And when you look at nature, peel it back and pretend you're looking at a painting.